Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom, while the Nintendo Switch remake should be on its way. So either way, last time we have essentially managed able to continue experiencing buddy forms of Kirosuras by not only battling some more enemies, but also about the fact that we stumbled across into the next boss fight in the game known as Ballon, I think it's what it says anyway. And in addition to that, we also managed able to win through several mini games every once in a while, and exponentially we did somehow manage to take a visit to Tadpole Pond. In addition to that, we somehow managed able to barely got started with the forms of Rose Way. So either way, today for this video is about the fact that we'll make our way to the next destination. At the same time, we're about able to try to keep on exploring for the forms of Rose Way. So just to ensure about the fact that the next town we're going to be hop into, it appears to be Rose Town. So either way though, that probably explains it how. So either way though, now if for those of you probably wondering about the fact that what's wrong with my voice at the moment, well, relatively speaking though, I felt almost slightly sick. So as a result, I might be still okay as it is. So either way though, although before I get into more details about that specific topic for today's video actually, that is about the fact that as you can see, we actually stumbled across into ourselves the next set of enemies that we've ever encountered. And that's what appears to be buddy forms of, well, as you can see, these enemies are, as you can tell, known as Crocs. So basically they do have 38 HP, and then when you kill them, you're able to actually get 10 experience points, if I'm assuming so anyway, and 10 additional coins. So yeah, those guys can be easily being taken down, especially noticeable we've somehow managed to keep on leveling up and stuff like that, as we expect at this point. So, but I digress. So, but either way though, but I think straight to the point that we've almost shown off every single enemy throughout the majority of the forms of Rose Way, potentially. So, but either way though, and I think something tells me with that particular Lakitu right there that has been holding up the actual Shy Guy as it is, what happens is that you get yourself a nice little item if you manage to take down, I would say 5 Shy Guys in a row with that particular Lakitu or something. Well, mind you, it's been about 2 days ago since I actually last played this for sure. Especially noticeable about the fact that I apologize, as I said before, that my commentary is a bit slightly, dodgy at times for today, mainly because, as I said before, I felt a little bit slightly sick. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, hopefully by that time until on Friday though, then I should be better by then. So, but either way though, yeah, I was able to take myself a bit too easy for the sake of convenience for like, well, continue progressioning for this from now on. So, anyways though, a few things I want to explain for this point today, and that is of course, that today's date of course is the 12th of July today, in this case in 2023 today. Naturally speaking, happy 10th anniversary of the release of Mario and Luigi Dream Team Brothers first came out in 2013 during the course of the Nintendo 3DS, and no matter what though, after looking back on the forms of Mario and Luigi Dream Team Brothers for the 3DS on my own time for a bit, I just somehow realized, although I'll explain more details about this in a second, because here we have yet another enemy encounter, and that is of course Snapdragon. I believe Snapdragon, as far as for this particular enemy is concerned, does have 90 HP, and if you manage to kill them, you get about, let's just say, 4 experience points. In addition to that, 3 coins. So, yeah, that's the actual description for it. So, either way, though. And, yeah, while looking back on the films that have been Mario Luigi Dream Team Brothers, I still had a lot of fun with it back in the day. Even though it does have some flaws, mind you. Like, for instance, about the fact that there are so many tutorial stuff during the course of the majority of the forms of, well, Mario Luigi Dream Team Brothers, which actually makes the actual pacing a lot slower than the forms of how it does on the previous games, that's for flipping sure. And on top of all that stuff, that was about the fact that we already know certain stuff while the actual tutorial decides to come into play, like after experiencing the previous Mario Luigi games, basically. So, but either way though, that must have been said something, I suppose. I get it because the forms of newcomers are able to experience, you know what I'm saying, with the Mario Luigi series during the forms of the RPG format. So, but either way though. But regardless of everything else though, I will still say that the best aspect of the forms of, you know, wow, we don't have to deal with those enemies because I can assure to you that just like funky rats, sometimes that those crooks like to run away. So, but either way though, and speaking of the forms of certain enemies, here we have yet another enemy. So as you can see, that was actually that particular spider creature right there, and his name is Arcanine. So basically, Arcanine does have 82 HP, and it does drop about 6 experience points, and especially noticeable with 6 coins. So, yeah, that's what I was going to be thinking about it anyway. So, but either way, thankfully we did somehow manage to dish those out as much as we can possibly think about it. Although, potentially speaking about the fact that, unfortunately though, the actual numbers of the experience points, as far as what I researched on it, is not very accurate though, I must admit. Well, mind you, because we keep on leveling up most of the time, when it comes to able to grind certain experience points during the forms of the majority of the game so far. So, but either way though, that must have been said something, so... But anyway though, and also one thing I do appreciate about the fact that the best part about the forms of, you know, Dream Team Brothers while looking back is, of course, the soundtrack is amazing. Like, I can still able to listen to not only the title screen after 10 years when it first came out, and especially noticeable with the battle theme, which is of course Try Again, and especially noticeable with the boss battle theme as well, like Never Give Up or something like that. I think is what the track's name was, but either way though, chances are though is about the fact that, oh yeah, those are one of those attacks that, as you can tell, that it just lets one of your partners get sleep. So, meaning about the fact, I suppose that we can't able to actually do special attacks as far as I'm aware. The only time you can only do is just, I would say physical attacks, so that might be stuffed up as such, so... Yeah, as you can tell, there's no special moves if you get sleep affection, so... I guess that makes it pretty obvious, because relatively speaking though, that, you know, that's what I can really say about it. So, again, I apologize for my cover tech is a bit slightly stilted at this point today, because, you know, despite the fact that it still goes rather slow for the actual recording sessions, which I'll admit though right away though, because, relatively speaking though actually, that recently, since that we on the 12th of July, potentially speaking, that today marks the forms of not only for the next tour of Mario Kart Tour comes into play, which is of course Pipe Tour, but also Wave 5 DLC has recently came out today for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and what I've played on my own time, I had a lot of fun with it, and especially noticeable, I do really like the actual track selections, especially noticeable about the fact that it's nice to be able to go back into Koopa Cape, as well as Sunset Wilds, and especially noticeable with the forms of Daisy Cruiser. And let's not forget ourselves with the forms of Moonview Highway as well. And I apologize for that particular Belgianness, by the way, because it looks incredibly disgusting when you hear it. So, but at least thankfully I did that extremely quiet-like, especially noticeable because you don't able to hear too much Belgianness all the time. So, I apologize for this point, folks. But anyway, though, and as far as whatever I look onto the actual other tracks, during the forms of in, not only in Feather Cup, but also with the Cherry Cup as well, that, I do have some, positive side of things, but also at the same time, I do have my major gripe I have with the forms of, DLC Wave 5 as of now, especially after playing for it on my own time for a bit, and as a result, don't get me wrong, the track selection is pretty solid, but it's just about the fact that there's one in particular issue that I have problems with it. Like, for instance, that you already know about the fact that ever since in Mario Kart Super Circuit, along with Mario Kart Tour, where every time whenever you go into different laps in that track, then obviously the sun sets down for a bit, and just to ensure about the fact that in the third and final lap, might start to get a little bit more of a nighttime vibe. So as a result, unfortunately though, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe does not have that feature, which honestly, that honestly broke my heart every time when I saw that. Well, at least potentially they'll try to patch that in the future, like just like the forms of Eric does in what they did for Coconut Mall, from the likes of the forms of sense when after Wave 1 first came out, or maybe they'll try to save it up for Wave 6 or something? I don't know. I suppose we'll find out later. So either way though, so let's get into Rose Town, and once again everything else is gone completely out of hand, Especially noticeable that this time around though, when an arrow strikes into one of those townspeople, they can't move. So obviously about the fact that there's going to be one solution to this. That is about the fact that we can able to go to the next area in a process for the sake of the forms of who's responsible for able to get this particular rose town that goes all like pure chaos and stuff. So I suppose we'll try to figure something out though as it is. So, but I digress. So yeah, about that particular point, as I mentioned earlier, that maybe they'll try to able to fix that issue for the 6th and final wave for a patch update. But regardless of such though, there's only quite a few positives I can think about in regards to the forms of wave 5. And that is about the fact that I really do enjoy squeaky clean sprint, especially noticeable that, get it, because we're experiencing the actual entire bathroom itself. And on top of all that stuff though, I really love the actual music and journey forms of that particular track in mind. And on top of all that stuff though, is about the fact that I do seem able to enjoy well, most of the tracks anyway. Well, mind you about the fact that I did manage to play the actual DLC Wave 5 on my own time for a bit. Like, for instance, I somehow managed to once again achieve the 3-star rankings for the likes of the forms of 150cc, along with 150cc mirror, and on top of that, 200cc as well. Although, mind you, there are only a couple of exceptions, which there are 50cc and 100cc, because I've grown bored of the actual those two classes combined, because for some reason I'm sort of now accustomed to 150cc now, because it's much faster, and on top of that it's actually a lot more funner than the forms of how it does it for 50cc. Well, I get it for 50cc, it's kind of fun as well for newcomers who are able to actually experience Mario Kart stuff, but either way though, that's just the way how I feel about it. So, but either way, whilst thankfully though, with 50cc and 100cc, does manage able to also guard the 3-star rankings on the actual trophies, due to the forms I've already accomplished those during the course of the actual, you know, 150cc version of those specific cups in mind. So, now as far as the amount of attempts I did done, in terms of the forms of trying to able to get the 3-star rankings run, for both the Feather Cup and the Cherry Cup with all 3 classes combined, for 150cc and 150cc mirror, surprisingly enough, I actually did the 1 attempt for able to actually get the 3-star ranking. I'm guessing because I'm now more accustomed to able to not only play as the forms of some new characters, like for instance that usually what I've noticed is that obviously Chemic's voice is obviously going to be based off of around you know, in Mario Kart Tour. Whilst, if you ever play as PD Piranha, he sounds a lot more weirder than the forms of how it does it back in Double Dash days. So, but either way, though, that must have been said something, I suppose. So, and as you can see, we actually got a few more flower points, which is always a super appreciation. And there's a frog coin up there, just to ensure about the fact that you can able to try to find it on the actual bed itself. So, but either way, in terms of the forms of, I wonder what that switch does. Well, I suppose it might actually trigger something, but I suppose we should probably leave the building, and oh, it creates the stairs. So, that should be pretty swell. Especially noticeable now we can able to get up there at any time. Especially noticeable one of the townspeople did somehow manage to get up there. So, and once you talk to this particular townspeople right here, likely for this particular incarnation of Toad right there, it actually gives you a hint of something a little bit more secrecy about it. Like, for instance, we need able to follow the correct set of paths, like left, straight on, and right, then you should able to actually get this nice little reward if you follow those clues correctly. So that'll be for later. So, but with that being said, in terms of the forms of, as I said before, it only took me about 1 attempt for able to actually accomplish the 3-star ranking on, you know, 150cc and mirror classes. Now, in comparison to 200cc, surprisingly enough, it actually did surprisingly took me about 2 attempts for each cup. Like, in one moment, actually I'll explain more details about that in a moment, because, oh, look at this cute scene. Especially noticeable, that particular kid did somehow manage to play some interactive toys based off from Super Mario RPG game or something like that. Like, obviously he's been playing around with not only a Mario toy, but also with a Peach toy and a Bowser toy. It kind of reminds me when Andy plays Woody and Buzz Lightyear idea of Toy Story stuff. So either way, though, that's actually very, very charming in every way. Now, I suppose that on the Switch version might do the same thing as well, if that comes out. So, but either way, though, and yeah, in terms of the forms of 200cc, as I said before, it only took me 2 attempts within 2 cups, respectively. Like, in the first attempt on the Feather Cup, I did pretty well in Athens Dash, although in Daisy Cruiser, this is the point I've got screwed over because of this very, very unexpected green shell just pop out of nowhere as soon as I was trying to get into first place. But then every time when a green shell just owns me, it just becomes more likely like RMG to me when it comes to getting ownaged by green shells, usually relatively speaking. And in terms of the forms of the Cherry Cup though, I was doing quite well on the other 2 tracks, which there are obviously Los Angeles Laps, especially noticeable with Sunset Wilds, except Cooper Cape, because for whatever reason, I feel like that Cooper Cape in a 200cc class is actually a lot difficult compared to the forms of how it does in 150cc in my opinion, because obviously with your ridiculously top speed, in addition to that about the fact that sometimes computer AI just loves to catch up at one point. Well, I found this a little bit interesting is that whenever I managed to experience Feather Cup on the second attempt in 200cc, I somehow dominated it through the majority of the forms of Moonview Highway, which as a result, that might be sounds odd, but I'm guessing because sometimes computer players always get screwed over by the forms of not only too many cars, but also with the forms of too many trucks, and especially noticeable with the forms of the bomb carts. So, which I wonder about the fact that we can probably potentially, by saying this about the fact, I don't know if it's possible that Mushroom Bread might able to actually make it to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I'm not exactly sure about this just yet, because after all, we only got 1 wave left until God knows if they decide to do the next pass or something. So either way though, and it looks like it's going to do this very, very devastating shooting star shot. So in some cases though, oh, yikes. That could have almost hit me. And I'm pretty sure I just got hit by that specific attack. And I suppose that I somehow forced myself going to bed right there. Oh, something tells me something is about to happen with that particular toy over there. Usually it's been hooded in blue. Or does I get the strong feeling it kind of reminds me of the exactly same similar scene as in Pinocchio, like for that particular star it somehow showed up. Although except the fact that unlike in Pinocchio it does manage to feature a blue fairy, whilst in here though it's just the actual star, so... Oh my lord, he comes to life. Wow, he kind of reminds me of Pinocchio somehow. Although, for what I've noticed is about the fact that this particular character looks very mysterious to me. But I'm sure we're able to find out more details about him until whenever we continue proceedings for this, so... That won't be for a little while, especially noticeable because I get the feeling that he might actually start to wander somewhere, so... Anyway, in terms of the forms of, you know, everything else I could possibly explain. Oh yeah, let's talk about the forms of how the fact that, yeah, with Mario Kart Tour in mind, that we now onto the Pipe Tour. And somehow about the fact that I also tried a new course that has been introduced in that particular tour in mind, and that's what appears to be Piranha Plant Pipeline. And for what I've played, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of the forms of that particular track layout. It feels very simplistic in my opinion, although the only good thing about that particular track though is that I will have to admit, the music is kind of cool, but it's just about the fact that I'm not a big fan of the actual theme of it. I mean, sure, we've already, you know, experienced the forms of the Piranha Plant based level, well, based off from not only Mario Kart 7, but also with Mario Kart 8 as well, usually in Piranha Plant Pipeway or Piranha Plant Slide. But as a result of that kind of stuff though, yeah, I usually think that, well, don't get me wrong, I thought it was okay, but it's just I'm not a big fan of the piranha plant pipeline as far as the actual track itself goes. It just plays it safe. Like, for instance, there was no, although I suppose about the fact that the only, another cool thing about that particular track to me, though, and that is about the fact that they somehow also includes another stage hazard, which I think, technically speaking, it was actually already introduced, since in, Rome, Vetiva, I think is what it says anyway, in one of those tracks in particular. And as a result, they somehow now finally introduced into ourselves those fuzzies as the actual stage hazards. So, yeah, I couldn't able to actually explain any of that stuff. So, either way, and then, as you can see, we've somehow managed to get ourselves yet another flower tab, thanks to the forms of that particular toad that we somehow spoke to. So, either way, and that might be a good reason for that, because now we can able to upgrade our more flower stuff. So, but either way, that should be good to go. And especially noticeable, we can now able to actually do all kinds of stuff here and there for certain capacity. So, anyway though, in terms of some other contents that I would like to show you for this point, or if I'd like to mention something, when it comes to the forms of certain drivers that we're able to get, for the sake of the forms of in Mario Kart Tour Pipe Tour, as far as this is concerned, although I'll explain more details in a second, because we can now move on to the Forest Maze. Man, I love this music. It's actually very iconic with this particular song in mind, especially noticeable about the fact that with the Forest Maze, I hear that music a lot for certain reviews, and especially noticeable with certain artifacts here and there as well. So yeah, that is the most iconic music of all time, and I'm very happy to report they're all trying to remix that on the Switch remake. So either way, so yeah, let's just go ahead and get onto the forms of the Forest Maze itself. Obviously, it's going to be filled to the brim with maze-like structure. So, but either way though, and as you can see, despite the fact that I accidentally ran into one of those enemies in particular, which appears to be Wigglers. So, yeah, for Wigglers, they do have 120 HP, and they drop about 6 experience points or something, and 10 coins. So, that's the only thing I can describe about it, despite the fact that the actual numbers is not that very accurate to me though, but at least I did try to able to read that specific description. So, anywho though, so yeah, there's actually a trick to this though, and that is about the fact that despite the fact that I keep on failing the jumps, but while at it, we actually come across into yet another enemy, which appears to be Gorilla. You know, think of like Donkey Kong from the look of him, except he's all covered in chains. So because of that, for Gorilla, somehow managed able to got 135 HP, and they drop about 8 experience points and 8 coins. So sometimes it can take a while to able to beat the likes of the forms of not only Wiggler, but also Gorilla as well. So either way though, seriously, it kind of reminds me of the rejected character from Donkey Kong or something, except there's no DK tie or anything, so that seems rather odd in my honest opinion. So anyway, there's actually a trick to this though. If you keep on jumping onto Wiggler for about, I would say 10 times, basically you get yourselves a nice reward if you somehow keep on bouncing onto the actual Wiggler, despite the fact that with isometric platforming can be a bit difficult. So as a result, if you keep jumping onto her quite a few times, then you receive a frog coin. So yeah, if you really want to farm some more frog coins, then this will be the best spot for you if you attempt to able to try to farm some more of those frog coins as much as you can. So, although I'm a little bit bummed out about the fact that when it comes to Wiggler herself, although thankfully we can able to play as her in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but when it comes to Mario Kart Tour, sadly, she's locked out behind the stupid freaking tier system, which as a result, you remember what I said about the fact that I always hate that stupid tier system, because again, sometimes if I was doing pretty well, but at the same time that certain opponents around the world just keeps on beating my score. So because of this though, I highly doubt I'm able to try to save up some more of those rupees as much as I can. But exponentially speaking though, it's about the fact that when it comes to special items, for both not only Wiggler, but also with the forms of Pauline Cowgirl. That is about the fact that with Wiggler, much like the forms of how it does on the regular Me Racing suit with Wiggler, which I get the strong feeling that something tells me that I think there's a possibility I can able to actually get the Me Racing suit with Wiggler after all, so at least that's that. But relatively speaking, for that particular special item that Wiggler has, is the forms of the giant banana peel, so it's very similar to the forms of how it does it for the actual regular Me Racing suit. So yeah, I guess it's that. Now in terms of the forms of Pauline Cowgirl, that she does have a boomerang flower, so that's the only item that she does have. So either way though, that's pretty much about it basically, in regards of the forms of certain items they do have between both of those brand new drivers, including buddy forms of the regular Me Racing suit as well. So now, in terms of everything else I could possibly explain about this as well, is that recently that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe actually receives a new version update. Specifically, we're now onto version 2.4.0, meaning about the fact that if DLC Wave 5 has already came out. Now, as a result, they did manage to able to also plan out certain patches as well, although I'll get into more details onto this particular topic for later, because, well, as you can tell about the fact that since I got distracted by the forms of some more Mario Kart content that I did somehow mention to something, I completely forgot to mention about the forms of some other enemies as I've already encountered. Like, for instance, we actually stumbled across into ourselves the mushroom-like enemies, which there are known as Amantia, I think is what it says anyway. They do have 52 HP, and they drop about 3 experience points and 0 coins. So, yeah, no coins reward if you manage able to beat the likes of those mushroom-like enemies, as you can tell. In addition to that, there's also the forms of buzzers, which is essentially like the actual buzzer bee or something like that. Buzzers do have 43 HP, and they drop for about 1 coin and also 4 experience points. And finally, most notably, is the forms of Octolot, where basically they do have 99 HP, and they drop for about 4 coins and 6 experience points. So, yeah, that's basically all this goes, basically. So, either way, though, yeah, that's what I can say about those enemies, honestly. So, anyway, in terms of the forms of the actual patch updates they did somehow bring into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, obviously about the fact that we already know that it now supports paid DLC in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 5, 2 cups, 8 courses, and 3 other characters, which, is actually pretty good. And in terms of general stuff, they did manage to improve upon something. They improved the performance of some characters and vehicle customizations, and also they addressed the invincibility time of some characters, and also they've addressed random item selection method in races where custom items is set for when there are 4 players or less. And in addition to that, there's also about the fact that they did expand the range for when a warning displays when a red shell or spiny shell approaches from behind. And also they made, let's just say they've made the actual warnings about the red shell and the spiny shell when it will be displayed with property over other warnings. So yeah, I guess it's that. And also they made a solution about, made it so that a warning is not displayed when a red shell is targeting opponents. And also they made it so that L/R buttons operation on the class selection screen, on the course selection screen in a Grand Prix can be constructed on a touchscreen as well. And they also lowered the appearance rate of not only mirror class but also with 200cc races, so in worldwide, during in online matches with the forms of worldwide alongside with the forms of regional settings or anything else like that. So, and in terms of other fixes worth noting for is that they fixed an issue where a communication error occurs when a character catches a boomerang at the same time that a boo brings an item. And also they fixed an issue where when equipping an item and catching a boomerang at the same time, the character could not throw that item. So yeah, I guess that's that. And also another thing too, they fixed an issue where there's a graph for the Me Heavyweight classes parameters that didn't match the actual abilities. And they also fixed an issue where a warning would not appear when an opponent used a bullet bill in online matches. So yeah, I guess that's all I can really think about it. And there's also another thing too, is about the fact that I think this might actually be the last thing that could able to actually, well, I don't know about you, because again, I apologize for my commentary, it's a bit, you know, again, very awkward, because again, a little bit slightly sick, but either way though, but still, I promise you guys, and during at some point on Friday, that I'll make myself better, so I do need a lot of rest at this point, so... But I digress. But as a result, that me and Mighty and Sonic, including Silver, did have a lot of fun time playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe today, because as a result, that I'm very happy about the fact that we're actually getting very close towards the end of the forms of this entire DLC Booster Course Pass solution. So because of this though, but again though, we'll have to wait and find out until the final Nintendo Direct will be showing up later down the road. So... Anyway, so let's go and finish up with that particular wiggler right here. So, anyway, as I was saying, in terms of the forms of other issues they've addressed, and that is about the fact that they made it so that it doesn't spin or crash when running into an obstruction if the player uses a Starman or a Bullet Bill or a Boo at the same time. And finally, most notably, it's about the fact that they fixed an issue where the cart will get stuck between a cliff and small mushroom and be unable to move in Wee Mushroom Gorge. So that's about it basically. So either way though, unfortunately though, they did not bring up any brand new items in there. Oh, I also forgot about the last thing I want to mention in regards to the forms of the last fix an issue situation, where basically they fix an issue where the player would go off the course when transformed as Bullet Bill right in front of the goal in GBA Riverside Park. So yeah, that's about it basically. So again, unfortunately we didn't seem able to get brand new items on the actual custom item selection, which I'm guessing they'll try to save it up and during at some point until on the 6th and final wave, if it's possible. And also, short things worth noting for, sadly no luck of the forms of any other battle courses to be found in the forms of the actual version update so far. So, but either way, yeah, that's about it basically. So let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Have you guys ever experienced Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Wave 5 yet? Because let me tell you, it is awesome. Like, especially noticeable about the fact you might able to actually recognize certain tracks, as far as I mentioned this earlier, so... But I digress. Oh yeah, something worth noting for is that about the fact that in order to able to get that chest there, you need to do a bit of a sneaking situation right there, so just in case you don't able to wake up that particular wiggler, although if you do wake up that wiggler as you saw, basically we get tossed out in the forms of one of those stumps. So seriously, I just really wish that they'll fix an issue where, as you can tell, I'm having a hard time just trying to able to actually enter in not only certain pipes, but also certain stumps as well. Although I have tried to able to actually do the correct thing, like usually just tap the actual directional pad down quite a few times, but sometimes though about the fact that it refuses to able to actually enter in the actual stump or a pipe for that matter. So I'm hoping that the Switch remake might able to actually fix that solution, like make it as a separate button, like also if we're able to actually have the ZR buttons or something. Maybe, just maybe. So yeah, in terms of anything else I could possibly explain about this at this point today, honestly guys, that's what I can really say about this. Although apart from the fact that, well, I promise you guys, enjoy it later on throughout the month, or potentially speaking the next couple of weeks or so. So, you know, just in case we can able to actually get back right on track for, you know, more uploading schedules alike, so... Oh yeah, I suppose there's a last thing I want to mention. For those of you who lived in the UK, obviously happy 10th anniversary of the release of Monsters University. Well, for those of you who lived in the UK, who were able to actually experience the film on a big screen. Like, I think Sonic did actually told me this already, that he do fondly remembered seeing Monsters University back in the forms of being barely the never situation, I suppose. During later on in July, I think so anyway, that he did have a lot of fun with the film with Tiana and stuff, because obviously it's been a very long time since we saw both Mike Wazowski, including James P. Sullivan, during on the big screen since 2001. So, But either way though, after looking back on it though, I still find that to be a very enjoyable experience, despite it was actually a prequel rather than a sequel, so I guess that's fine for me, I guess, so... But yeah, that's why I can really talk about this at this point, guys. Although, then again, I would have liked able to explain something else for that matter for some other content that brings us into, but either way, at the moment, we've now reached level 8 for Mellow, so as far as I'm aware, for the level ups right now, I think we should be okay to able to actually take on the next boss. Although, unfortunately though, when it comes to the next boss fight though, I don't think we can probably see that in action just yet, because obviously about the fact that we still have to go through a lot of these areas from time to time, and especially noticeable about the fact that we can potentially try to able to sort something out for, you know, just trying to able to figure out some stuff like this, so... And also, I will promise you guys about the fact that I'll make myself better, as I said before. So, but either way. Also, I just realized I somehow keep on filling up the entire item selection, as far as I've noticed. Because every time whenever you come across into this menu, as you can tell, that I have to force myself to able to get rid of one of those items in my item storage. So, kind of a nuisance though, especially noticeable because I'm pretty much used to with not only Paper Mario, but also with the forms of Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, and especially noticeable with Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, where basically though I can able to actually carry as many items as I want. Well, potentially speaking if you do have your upgrade sack or something. So with that being said, we got the endings off this point right here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Is that we're about to able to continue experiencing buddy forms of Forest Maze and go after this mysterious character to see what the heck is all about. Because something tells me we might come across into maybe the next star piece or something. So I'll see you guys until on Friday. Later fellas.